Hi everyone! Today I'm going to be talking about how to travel with the baby. I'm specifically going to be focusing on airplane travel, although some of these tips would apply to traveling long distances in a car as well. As a disclaimer, I have a 5-month-old baby, so he's still kind of young, so I guess these kind of tips and tricks would really apply for a baby that's sort of under 6 months old, but some of the things might help for older children as well. So my first tip is to relax. It's really important to just go in there with a very open mind. You don't know how the flight's going to go. You cannot really control a lot of things, and you cannot control really how your child behaves. But if you are more relaxed, that's going to definitely be imparted onto your baby, and they're going to be a little bit more calm as well. Then the second thing leading onto that is just ignore your perceptions of other people in terms of the stares or what you think they might be thinking. You know, you get that feeling, I'm sure we've all experienced it on the airplane, where someone's walking in with the baby, maybe the baby's being fussy, crying or something, and they're like, please don't sit next to me, please don't sit down, please don't sit next to me. Okay, she's gone past me, okay, that's fine. So keep that in mind, that really you cannot control what other people think, and just keep your game face on. Don't let it throw your confidence. The third thing that's very important and might help you feel more relaxed is to be as prepared as possible. This can range from going to the airport earlier than you would usually if it was just you traveling, so that you have extra time to go through security, you have extra time to change the baby if something happens unexpectedly, to feed him before you get on the flight, all that kind of stuff. I also like to take bottles with me even though I'm breastfeeding my baby, because then if I need to feed him in a very public area where I don't have any privacy, or someone else can feed him for me if I'm traveling with someone else, or on the airplane, it's very, if you're unfortunately in a middle seat or something and you need more room to breastfeed, if you have bottles, then it just makes your life a lot easier. So I use these Life Factory bottles over here. These are 5 ounces or 100 mils, because my baby's young, but obviously you take whatever bottles work for you. And then I take them in a little cooler bag specifically for bottles. Again, you could just use a baby mini cooler bag. This one is from J.J. Cole, and I like it because it's a nice size. It's got a little handle at the top, and you can put in a ice pack, which will keep your milk cold for several hours, I would think. What I also like to do is I prefer not to have the milk go through the x-ray machine at the airport, so I ask that it can be swabbed, and what they do is they ask you to take off the lid of the bottles, and then they check for fumes, and then you put the lid back on. And sometimes they will require you to be patted down as well because of that, because you're refusing to put something through the x-ray machine. But I think it's important to know that you have the option, and you don't have to put your baby's food through the x-ray machine if you don't want to. Then this is something that obviously depends a lot on your travel plans, but from the traveling that I've done with my son, and I've done quite a lot in his short life, both long distances and short distances, so anything from an hour and a half flight to 24 hours of traveling with him. The younger the better. So if you have the choice to travel a little bit younger, even from something, a 2-month-old baby will probably travel better than a 4-month-old baby. Obviously, this depends on your specific child, and you need to maybe talk about this with your doctor. It also depends where you're flying, if you're going internationally, if you're just flying somewhere local, because obviously the difficulty with flying with a younger baby is that you risk maybe them getting sick. That being said, breastfed babies are usually quite well immune, so it's something that you have to weigh up for yourself. It's a personal decision about how desperately you need to actually travel. The other thing is, I found as the babies get older, they become more aware. They don't sleep as well when they're not in a familiar place, whereas a younger baby sleeps more often and is not always as fussy as to where they sleep. So this might be easier for you. I hope you can't hear him in the background because now he's woken up. Choose when you fly during the day. So you will know your baby. Usually babies are freshest in the morning, and therefore they are more tolerant of changing circumstances. You know, when you start flying at 4 in the afternoon, 5 in the afternoon, when they're supposed to be having a bath and bedtime, that might be more tricky, but obviously sometimes you don't have a choice, especially if you're flying sort of a long haul flight overseas. They're usually at night. But just to keep that in mind, if you do have the flexibility of time. The other thing is to try and not fly during rush hour so that you have less people at the airport to contend with, less traffic on the roads, all that kind of thing. But you will know your personal circumstances and your airport and those kind of things as to when would be the best time to fly. But obviously when your baby's in the best mood, it's going to give you the best flight. You can also think about nap time, and if you want to try and coordinate it with nap time. I'm not so sure that flying exactly when it's nap time is always the best thing, because if the baby can't settle down, they're just going to get more and more frustrated and overtired, and then you're going to have more of a problem. It's almost better to have them awake when you're on the airplane, so that they can kind of get used to their surroundings, be familiar with everything, and then hopefully they will nap at some point during your flight. Again, depending on how long your flight is, or maybe they nap on the other side. So I personally think going between nap times is better, but that's a decision that you have to make for yourself. Okay, so we got halfway through the tips, and then the person in question woke up. So I guess he's going to join us for the rest, and hopefully he's not too much of a distraction. This is Theo. He's 5 months old, and he has been on a plane a lot with me. Yeah, a lot. I've taken him to a lot of places in his short time. So he's an experienced traveler now. So my next tip is to take someone with you besides the baby, obviously. If you can, obviously travel with someone else, your partner, your family member, a friend, whatever. It will really help. Obviously, it's much more pleasant to travel with someone, generally speaking. But especially with the baby, because there's small things to carry. Maybe you want to go to the restroom. Maybe you want to get up and go buy something to drink or eat or whatever, and someone else can hold the baby. You don't have to always be with them. And let's be honest, it's just easier, or it's always easier having someone else when you have a baby, usually. Then, this is something that I didn't think I realized initially. If you get on the plane and you notice perhaps that it's not full, or even if it is full, make the air hostesses and the cabin crew aware that you have a baby. Well, obviously, you probably don't have to make them aware. And ask them if they do have a free seat. Sometimes they have free middle seats that people don't want. If you could possibly move at some point after they've taken off and after everyone's boarded the plane, so that you could sit on the aisle of the window with a middle seat in between you, and then you can put your baby to sleep there when they're ready to go to sleep. And it just gives you extra space to put your stuff and blankets and whatever, toys, whatever you have. The more space, the better. But obviously, you know, babies under 2 years old can fly free. You can buy them a ticket, but if you're not prepared to do that, then I guess you have to be prepared for the fact that you might only have one seat. Also, if you have a choice to choose which seats, I would probably go for an aisle, just because then you can escape without having to ask people to move. You can walk around as much as you can do that on an airplane, because it's just so much better if your child is getting fussy and you're getting anxious, to be able to change the scenery might really help them. Another thing, which is more of a long-term thing, but if you're based in the US and you can get priority screening either through Global Entry or TSA PreCheck is what it's called, this will really help expedite the amount of time that you need to get to the airport and just your general stress levels. Yeah, it means you don't have to go through the body scanner, you can just go through the metal detector, and there's generally less people in that line. So I probably shouldn't be telling everyone about this because there'll be more people, but I think it's really helpful with a baby. You don't need as much time before you board the plane because the lines aren't as long, and you're just probably more likely to have someone help you and get through things a little quicker. Who doesn't want to be at the airport a shorter amount of time than you really have to be? Something else that is not something that I've also learned along the way is that unless you're flying internationally, you don't really need a birth certificate for your baby. They don't check that I've been aware of. I mean, when a baby's really young and obviously under the age of 2, then they don't feel any need to check really. maybe this is airline specific or just my experiences, but I have taken his birth certificate with me and then not been asked for it. And it's such an important document that if I don't have to travel with it, I'd prefer not to. That's something maybe you want to check before you fly, but just a heads up. The other thing is you could take a copy of his or her birth certificate just to make yourself feel more comfortable. And obviously if you're flying internationally, you need a passport for every child that you fly with. Last tip is, well, more of a debate I guess, is whether you would prefer to take a stroller or a pram with you or wear the baby in a carrier. I've done both. I like to have my stroller that has a car seat attached so that if I get to the other side wherever I'm going and there's no car seat, then I have one. It's also nice to have a place to put the baby down and to put all your gear and everything with you underneath the baby in the stroller storage. The flip side of that is that you just have extra things to worry about, extra luggage. You have to give your stroller to the gate agent as you board the plane, which is fine, but that's just something you have to wait on the other side for that. Whereas if you can wear the baby and just have them in a wrap, then you're kind of hands-free. You have your little bag. I always try to take as little as possible, but I have been caught in a situation where you need extra things. So make sure that if you think that you need 6 diapers or something, you take 8 or you take 10, depending on how long you're flying for. Maybe 1 for every hour that you're going to be flying, and then 2 extra beyond that. So those are my tips. They're a little bit all over the place today. I think, but hopefully I covered the key ones, and I can always do more. I can always do more videos like this if necessary. Thanks so much for watching. Please be sure to thumbs up this video and to subscribe and to follow me on all the social media links. I will have everything linked down below, and hope to see you guys soon. Bye! Say bye, Thea. Bye! Did you like flying on the airplane?